Hey everyone, welcome to Ripstop on the Record, podcast for makers, by makers, coming right to you from the Ripstop by the Roll headquarters in the Content Cottage. I'm Jameson.
And I'm Avery.
I'm Carter.
And I'm Isaac.
I got distracted between Ripstop on the Record and Ripstop by the Roll. Anyway, this is our final podcast of the year, which means we're going to do our year in review. Now, it's been pretty crazy. We've released 27 materials, 20 components, and 6 brand new kits this year alone.
Yeah, it's been an exciting time. We definitely always have a lot of fun, both inventing or sourcing new products, but then also
creating kits.
Yeah, creating kits. But it's cool to release new stuff because Isaac and I are excited about it and are making stuff with it to test it. And that fuels our DIY energies. But to see other people make stuff with the new stuff that we got, it's like, hey, we did that. Like, we gave somebody the opportunity to do that, which is cool.
Yeah.
Do I want to do it again? Yeah, I do.
We're about to restart. New year.
Yeah, thanks to our product team. 2-man squad over here.
Well, even bigger thank you to our customers who make sure that I still have a job. So big thanks to you.
And our general, Jason William Smith of Mebane, North Carolina. Social Security 246. I'm just kidding. But thank you to Jason for letting us keep our jobs too.
Yeah, and speaking of job security, if you enjoy this podcast, don't forget to like, subscribe, rate us, follow us, and also check us out on YouTube.
Yeah, so you might not think that a simple thing like rating a podcast means anything, but I assure you, it very much does, and we appreciate it greatly. I personally have created 50 fake accounts and rated it, so we have 50 ratings. Let's get that to 51, guys.
51 be rad.
And while you're at it, help us to help you by letting us know what you like and what you don't like and what we could do better.
All right, so on to the main part of the show. We have identified 6 prompts that will inspire our conversation for today's year in review episode, starting with our favorite materials of the year. So like we said, 27 materials have come out through our onboarding process, through the new product development series and all the systems that we put in place. And each of us are going to answer this for ourselves, what our favorite one of those 27 has been. Starting with Carter.
This was a tough one for me. Lots of good stuff. Lots of stuff that I forgot that we even did.
It's hard to think back to like February and stuff, and you're like, oh, that was this year.
Luckily, I was able to cheat and use the product onboarding master spreadsheet and just go back to the dates because I didn't know. So I chose the new cordage that we brought on. So that's the 1mm reflective UHMWPE cord. I probably use that more than anything else for zipper pulls, tarp tie outs. Like, I think it's just awesome. And then also the reflective and colored shock cords in all 3 sizes. All of the stuff I, until this year, still purchased, but I had to go like find subpar versions of it in other places. So it's nice to be able to have it here. So that's my pick. I love it. You all should love it as well.
I do. I love it. You've converted me in that way as well. I used to be kind of into the thicker cords for no good reason. And you've really transitioned me to lighter, thinner, reflective.
Reflective is where it's at, dude, for pretty much everything. It looks kind of fancy and cool. It has like a techwear look, but also it's functional.
Replace your tarp ties, people.
Yeah. I just thought of something sick. Imagine a wedding where everyone wears reflective, like
Bolos?
tuxes. Oh. Full tuxes out of 3M material, and then throughout the time they just do different light shows, so then everybody just like, I don't know.
That's actually what we're all going to wear to trail days.
Yeah, so come out to trail days and bring a flashlight.
It's also really cool to replace your shoelaces with.
My father-in-law does that with every pair of shoes.
Are you serious?
He puts our reflective shock cord in there, and so he just
when he's speed walking at night, no one's going to hit him on the road.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, he's athletic. He's speed running.
He is. Avery, what is your favorite material of the year?
So my favorite material of the year is one that we have been waiting for
So
all year long. We've talked about it, we've mentioned it, and we finally released it. But I am so stoked about the Polartec. If you have a chance to get some, you definitely won't regret it. The Alpha Direct with the wool, I wasn't sure what to think about it at first, but I think it's personally the softest. I'm really excited to make with it. And then our products team did an amazing job coming up with amazing colors for the power grid, and you won't find colors like these anywhere else. So it's super exciting. I'm excited since it just came out to see what people come up with for their projects and making with it. So be sure to share projects with us. But I'm just personally excited to get back into my own apparel game and make like 37 PJ pants and all the things.
It's like the company's coming out party for apparel. Like their apparel game's been kind of mediocre, frankly, for the past, and we're jumping straight from Ventec waterproof breathable to Alpha with wool.
Ventec's dope, by the way. Don't put that.
It is a cool. It's the only one though.
Save your hot take for the opinions round, dude. Also, yes, Polartec. I'm gonna have to find the motivation to start making some things because I really want to make some hoodies. I want to make Isaac a bodysuit with Alpha Direct with wool for when it gets really cold. I think that'd be sick. It'll just have eye cutouts. That's it.
Snuggies with Polartec.
Yeah.
Dude.
With cam snaps in the back.
Reflective cam snaps.
Yeah.
For the Community Maker Challenge, we had somebody submit like it was a sleeping pad cover that they made for their daughter or son or something. And I'm really excited to do that.
With Alpha?
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I do remember that. That was a good idea.
Yeah.
I'm glad I admitted. I almost
Admitted.
This LaCroix is really hitting over here. I'm having trouble.
4 o'clock or Croy's hit different.
Yeah.
Isaac?
So I think my favorite is the RX line, specifically RX30. Mainly because I really like how professional it looks in a finished product. I haven't used it a lot, but Jameson has
I've used it a lot.
Like every time I come into the maker space, Jameson's making something else with.
Did something with it yesterday.
Yeah, with either RX30 or RX15 or
36.
anything 36.
This is what I was making with yesterday.
Yeah, it's like the film backing is really high quality. The face is just, it's like kind of a matte black when you see it in person. Yeah, it's just really nice.
And that is X-Pac RX line for those of you that don't know what that means. If you're listening to this, you probably do, but
yeah,
check it out. Get some of it.
Beautiful fabric. It's got a recycled polyester face. Like Isaac said, it's got the film backing, the same polyester X-Ply. It's a beautiful fabric. I really, really like it. These coasters that we have are made out of the recycled X-Pac as well. But yeah, since we released that, it's kind of, I'm a little bit embarrassed that it's only been a year. I've made 2 backpacks, 2 fanny packs, a sling bag, 4 ZPPs.
Holy moly, dude.
And something else for the
That's
RX.
just out of that material.
Just
That's
out
not
of
all
RX.
you've made.
No, yeah, it's just out of
You've
RX.
made 365 fanny packs.
Kyle, I don't sell these things. These
One
are
for
all
every
above
day.
board.
Minus 5.
So my favorite material of the year is a more recent one than RX. It is the Ultralight Venom stretch mesh. For a whole lot of reasons. I mean, the obvious ones, it's super light. It looks great, but I also like the thinness, actually. I really like the performance of the Dyneema stretch mesh, but once you folded it over, you had a rolled hem, and you started putting it in a pack. Like if you're lining it up with RX36 or other thicker fabrics, I feel like it added a whole lot of just like girth to a pack, and the Ultralight Venom stretch mesh has a real nice thinness while still being a really high-performing mesh.
It's definitely the best mesh that you can get. Any fanny pack or backpack or anything that would normally use stretch mesh, I just automatically use the Venom mesh. It's the lightest and strongest, and it has enough stretch.
Yeah.
Sounds like you're.
I think that's a good choice.
Charmin. The toilet paper.
And bears will not rub their butts on trays around it. Something.
Yeah, no bears, just John B delivering your Ultralight stretch mesh.
Shout out to John B, by the way. That's our one of our fulfillment team members that works on the auxiliary line that cuts all the Ultra and the Venom.
Hand cuts that Venom stretch mesh, by the way.
He's a G.
Yes. All right, so that's prompt number 1. That's a little bit of a hint of what we're going to keep doing here with the other handful. So second prompt for this year in review episode is our favorite components of the year.
Yes, components. There are a lot. A lot of them are great. If I had to pick one that I think is...
You do have to pick one.
Okay, fine. Are you sure? Micro cord
the whole
lock,
point
okay?
of this.
Yeah.
The micro cord lock. It's the lightest, smallest cord lock. This is another product that I personally purchased hundreds of for multiple years because in any stuff sack, in any spot, that's the one that I wanted to use because I'm using the small cordage. So I'd always have to purchase that elsewhere. It's a hassle when you're getting most of the fabric and components from one place, and then you have to go somewhere else to get the other one and pay for shipping. So now we have them. They're great. You should consider using them wherever you can. They're also very nice. Like the spring inside is very robust and
Springy.
it's a great product.
Very springy.
Very springy.
It's like one of the silliest, but maybe one of the biggest developments in our onboarding of products this year is that micro cord lock. Like we talked about that so much before we had it, and it was really frustrating not to have it.
I tried to get it for years too,
Yeah.
and it was difficult. Like for multiple reasons, we never got it, so I kept having to buy them from like
You just
random places.
needed a new product coordinator to
That's right.
make things happen. You know.
Once Isaac came into my life, he was
I mean, speaking
micro
about the
cord
product
lock,
coordinator, Isaac, you helped bring a lot of these products or components in. Which one was your favorite?
I guess this kind of also goes in like the underrated, but I have a separate one for that, so don't
You
worry.
better.
But mine is the Tri-Glide, the Sliplok Tri-Glide, simply because you use it for so many things, like so many different applications you can use Tri-Glide. And up until this year, we didn't have any, which is kind of crazy to me.
I remember sourcing those from like Hobby Lobby for the last 2 years.
Jameson would come in with this like
Do you remember the ones I accidentally bought?
the Tri-Glides that look like they should go on the Titanic?
The metal?
Yes. Yes. It looked like some sort of steampunk like themed
I
Tri-Glide.
forgot about I made that duffel bag when I was traveling this February, and it was like a 2-inch seatbelt webbing, and we didn't have any, and I couldn't even find. I think the cheapest Tri-Glides I could find for 2-inch webbing were like $10 each on Amazon for no supply chain reasons. So I found the only ones I could get, which were like the metal where the middle bar moves, and they were just like this thin aluminum bent stuff, and they were terrible. The shoulder strap, like just walking through the airport, and all my bag would just hit the deck because it just slid right through.
See? It hit the
Awful.
deck because it was made for the Titanic.
Did
Yeah.
it also scrub like a fish?
Not following.
SpongeBob.
Oh yeah, wasn't allowed to. Sheltered. Sorry.
Okay. Tri-Glide. It's a good pick.
Great pick.
Would I say it's the best pick? I don't know. I got to hear what you have to say, Jameson.
My favorite component of the year, and I kind of lucked out because Isaac changed his last minute, so I can change mine last minute as well. Definitely the Austere buckle. I picked that at first, but then you typed yours in the outline first, Isaac, so I had to change. But I was pretty stoked. I was in between that and the webbing keeper, if I'm honest. I'm not allowed to use two, so I'm not going to use that one. But definitely the Austere buckle. Having talked with Uriel and hearing about how they make them, following them since they started making them, they've developed the process. They've grown a whole lot. Seeing how they've grown the business, but also having used them a few times now, super impressed with that cam buckle. Used it on backpacks, on my car, on bikes. Different versions of bikes, and I use it for my bike packing rig a couple months ago. They're really epic. I mean, things are so well made.
A lot of you guys don't know this, but Jameson actually wears the Austere buckle like a necklace around the office. We thought it was just a phase, but it's been almost a year, and he's still wearing it all the time. So
Yeah, it's reflective cord and the Austere buckle work pretty well together too.
he's literally replaced his wedding band with an Austere 3/4-inch cam buckle and printed webbing.
I have much bigger hands than
It's
you.
kind of embarrassing, but the Austere buckle is awesome, and I've also used it for my car. Not for jewelry. They're just really well made, and he keeps coming out with new colors. And yeah, Uriel's a good dude.
Avery, let's hear it.
I really like the 1mm poly UHMWPE reflective cord. I liked it so much I got really excited to change out all my guidelines on my tent to save, half a gram or something ridiculous.
I know
And
how Carter lives his life.
I realized that it was a little bit too small for the hardware in my tent, so I replaced it all. I set my tent up, and then I realized that it wasn't the right size. So yeah, I think that stuff is great. Like Carter, super reflective. I have 2 little dogs, and they're constantly I have a non-freestanding tent, so when I'm out backpacking, they run around and they like run straight through the side of the tent. So I was hoping my dogs could see it.
That'd be a plus.
What tent do you have?
I have the tarp tent Contrail, which is the old version of the
I
Pro
remember
Trail. Yeah, OG tent. But yeah, that stuff is great. Great to replace for your tarp guy lines. Maybe Jameson's necklace that he wears. There's really just, I mean, so much that you can do with it. So just make sure it's the right size for the project.
Following Isaac's inspiration, I actually have engraved the side of my cam buckle to be like a dog tag, so I just wear it like that.
I have a tattoo of Uriel from Austere Manufacturing on my back with him holding a buckle. So
we're really big fans of those buckles.
All right, most underrated products.
Isaac's doing the Lord's work here, moving us on. So we talked about most popular or our favorite materials, favorite components, but every year, even if it's just a personal conversation, we always talk about the products that kind of slide under the radar some. I remember I added this question specifically because I remember having a pretty lengthy conversation with you on one of the past podcasts, Carter, about Dyneema woven with melange or whatever being like a pretty underrated project. So I wanted to bring this back for everyone's sake and hear what you guys have to say.
this is definitely born out of like organic conversations because this bothers me every single year. They're like these super cool fabrics, and maybe some of that's on us. We're not doing the best job getting it out there to them, or we're sold out, or whatever the case may be. But it always blows my mind that I see, don't get me wrong, 210D HDPE is a cool looking fabric, but we've been using that for like 20 years. There's so many other cool things that you could use, and a lot of times people just don't end up using it. So I'm passionate about this. But I'm going to save mine, and I'm going to let Isaac go first.
So mine is the Olfa Pro Quilting and Utility Scissors. They are like yellow handled, I think 5-inch
Short blade.
short bladed scissors. But then like the blades also like got micro serrations on it. So they just like cut stuff really well. Like, especially if you're using it for like wire or anything that you would want to use scissors for, but that wouldn't really be cut with like normal scissors.
Well, a lot of the products we've released this year too are hard to cut. Like, we didn't do that intentionally, but like the Ultra fabrics, the stretch mesh, any Dyneema, they don't normally, if it has a bit of a woven face with Ultra in it, it's going to be a little bit weird. And those scissors do it great.
Yeah. They're not the greatest for the stretch mesh.
They can cut it though. The normal scissors, you're just chewing forever.
But we have those like kind of dispersed a little bit throughout the fulfillment line. And if you ever need to like cut something random like zipper, or, I don't even know, they get the job done.
The Ultra PE cord, they cut really well.
Yeah.
The production has done a good job rounding out our DIYers toolkit. I mean, we would talk about the stuff that you would need to make these kits, and we've never actually had all of the things you need to make them. So now we actually have the scissors, we have the rulers, we have the marking device, we have bodkins, we have all these little items that we used to talk about having that we never had before. So shout you guys out again.
Preach, dog.
Carter, what is your underrated product of the year?
So Isaac technically kind of stole this, but I think it actually helps to reinforce my point that this fabric line is super underrated, and that is the X-Pac RX fully recycled line of laminates. I just think you guys both talked about how great they are and how much they look, but it doesn't sell that well right now. I know that EcoPack is also another like really cool fully recycled, but don't forget the little RX guy. He's down there in the corner, and he's putting up some good product. And I think people should, especially as we expand the color line, I think that'll help a lot because right now we only have black. But give it a chance, guys. It's really awesome. It's the testing numbers on it look great. I think it's classy, and if you want to be classy, you got to get the RX line.
I want to dig into that a little bit more. Do you think people see the RX line and EcoPack as like interchangeable? Like they would? I don't really see them as competitors at all. I guess I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, I mean they're directly they're very similar products. I think that Challenge has done an awesome job of kind of getting in with some of the really popular cottage makers, and so a lot of them have switched over, which totally makes sense. They have a lot of cool colors. whereas the X-Pac, I think only just now is starting to come in multiple colors. So I think we'll start to see it kind of being more interchangeable. Yeah, I just think a lot of people don't know about the X-Pac RX line. So that's why I'm here, to be a steward. It's not a sponsored podcast, by the way, but if you want to, Dimension Polyan, I will wear an X-Pac jacket in every podcast.
I never really thought about it that way, because I guess for me, like, the RX line is more of like that. I don't want to say high fashion, but it's more of like a tech fabric, like you'd see on like EDC packs and stuff like that. Where the Eco Pack, I see more Eco Pack used in like actual backpacking packs. But it is interesting. I mean, it's cool they're releasing more colors now.
Yeah, but I mean, they genuinely are. Like, the X-Pac
design
looks nicer on the outside, and I think that's what makes you think that they're not like in the same realm. But in reality, they're functionally very similar products. Yeah, I won't speak to the differences between those necessarily. I'll let the user figure those out.
Fair enough.
But they're both awesome.
Yeah.
My turn. One of the most underrated products that I think that we released this year is the updated Tyvek 1056. It's stronger and lighter than the old version. It's super, super cost effective. It's great to pattern with. It's great to mess around with. Great for ground sheets. As a hiker, you kind of have an emotional attachment to your ground sheet, as I do with mine. I've had it for years. And, it's a strong emotional connection, but I think the Tyvek is awesome. I think you can do a lot of really neat things with it. I've seen people make fanny packs out of their Tyvek, wallets, and just, your everyday things that you might be making, but making it with Tyvek. Why not? You don't want to mess up a really expensive fabric. Just do it with the $3 Tyvek first, and then move up higher.
You can also get Tyvek tape.
Ooh.
Yeah. You can get it at like big box hardware stores. And then it like seals your mostly waterproof.
That's great. That's a good tip.
I feel like Tyvek is a DIY staple. Like, we were talking with Derek Hansen recently, and like the first slideshow he pulled up of pictures of stuff that he made, immediately Tyvek tarp straight away. It's like the number one thing people use to get going on stuff. Avery, how do you keep your gear for so long, though? I've heard you mention like your tent you've had since you thru hiked. You've had that for a handful of years now. Your ground sheet, your pack until you just updated. That was one you had for a while. I don't know people like
you thru hiked
as well as you.
2018.
2018. I was going to say, if you thru hiked in 2014, you had that for 8 years.
Yeah, well, the ground sheet has been around since that long.
Oh my gosh.
And it's not even that I don't go backpacking.
Right,
I've went out every single weekend for like 6 weekends straight over the fall, because who doesn't love to hike in the fall? I think my past guiding experience, we were really big about making sure people were educated about how to take care of their gear, making sure that, that you're cleaning it, that you're letting it air and dry out after every trip, and that you just take good care of it. I mean, I'm not overly OCD about my gear in the woods. I mean, I know people who are like super like clean freaks about their gear, like not getting one pine needle inside of their tent.
There's tent needles all over the ground.
But yeah, I ripped the corner of my ground sheet recently, and I like lost a part of my soul. That's a really good question, but I think it's just like making sure you're taking the proper care of it. And I even have, like I said, 2 small dogs, but it's just, if you have good gear, just take care of it and make sure you're not just like balling it up and throwing it in. Don't put baby in the corner. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah.
Sometimes I look at a piece of gear and I'm like, you know what? It's been in the stuff sack a really long time. It's kind of crinkled. I probably should get another one. That's like less crinkled. So yeah, for sure. I definitely do the same thing.
My underrated product of the year is the 1/6 Hyper D Eco. Not only is it a wonderful fabric on its own by itself, but it's also kind of the broader topic about the 1/6 Hyper D Eco that does it for me. That's when we introduced our PFC free initiative. And I just like where we're going with that. I mean, the industry has been really clear that we're moving with the RX line, with EcoPack, Dyneema's, their initiative through sustainable sourcing and things like that. It's very obvious that everyone in the industry is moving towards finding a way to produce fabrics that are far more environmentally friendly. And for us to also change or to start that process on our own side, I was really excited about personally. Now, on a different level, I think the 1/6 Hybrid Eco Sage is one of the most lovely fabrics. I love the sage color. It feels wonderful. I have a hammock in that color. I use that fabric for lining, like some of the fanny packs I've made, just like to have like a nice colorful inside liner. I think the sage is phenomenal. But yeah, like that overall, the initiative that we did, but also that fabric itself, I think we hit the nail on the head on that one.
I was, I think that was the first fabric that Carter and I kind of picked new colors on, right?
Yeah, that's definitely the first one I think I've worked with you on, where we just did our own colors completely.
What was that? How did you guys land on those?
Multiple ways. One of them is like we always look at like outdoor apparel fashion trends and things like that to see like, okay, what is North Face making a lot of in XYZ color, and then there's also like actual colors of the year and stuff to look at, and then some of it is just colors we like, and then some of it is looking at cottage, like in this case, like Dan Durston, who we've had, you know, he's like the sage god, that's what they call him, because he just be making everything out of sage, and we were like, hey, you know,
Sage wisdom, sage.
We had some basically a free survey to see that people really like sage, so
fair,
we went for it.
I mean, pop quiz. What's the color of the year? The Pantone color of the year.
We're actually moving away from Pantones now.
Mustard yellow.
It's called Very Perry. It's like a periwinkle color.
Oh, it's like the mauve looking one?
Yeah.
I don't know what either of those colors are.
It says it's a perfectly purple blue shade of periwinkle.
We looked at this whenever we got the what is that? This color was the inspiration.
Polartec?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And I do want to shout out, there is a girl on TikTok who's an amazing fashion designer. She lives in New York. Her name is Emma Rubinson. And for her Halloween costume, she was the Pantone color of the year. Her job is color matching in the fashion industry, so it makes sense. But she was very Perry.
That's awesome.
Man. Do you think the color of the year is ever just like ugly as heck? Like it's just like dark brown.
Yeah, imagine like the 70s or something. I don't know.
They didn't have
color of the year.
No,
probably did.
No, they weren't allowed to do that back then.
Well, all right, fair enough.
Everything was just beige.
Yeah, they only had beige. Technology's advanced a lot. They had just.
We could, if we wanted to get real life experience, we could probably ask Jason about what the color of the year back was like in the 50s was.
No, well, he wasn't awake during that time. He actually slept for 100 years, and that was part of the.
Yeah, he was in his hibernation.
He knows about Paul Revere's ride, though. I asked him about it yesterday.
Prompt number, I think it's 4. I lost count now. Is our unpopular opinion. So Jason gave us some really strong words. He said, "You can do anything, you just can't disparage the team." And I think Carter took that pretty well. So Carter, what was your unpopular opinion of the year?
Yeah, I was just going to say that everyone at our company, like people might not think that they work hard, but they do, except for Jason. He's absolutely lazy. Overall, just terrible guy. Wait, what did he say not to do?
Couldn't remember.
Oh,
I lost.
I'm just kidding. Jason's a great dude. So my hot take or my unpopular opinion, I've voiced this before. I actually don't think it's that unpopular because there's like a 50-50 split.
Very polarizing.
Highly polarizing topic. 1.8 Airwave for hammocks. I hate it.
I hate it. What's your grudge against the Airwave?
So we designed it. It does exactly what we designed it to do. Too much to me. So like,
it's too perfect.
It's ATY, so it's got air textured yarn, and then it has a ton of different like interwoven grids on it. There's like ripstop and then diagonal Dobby grid, which gives it a ton of friction against your skin, right? So we did that because normally things that touch your skin in a lot of places feel less plasticky. However, it really touches your skin. So like if you get, I remember we got like some test material of it, the first custom sample lot, and I made a hammock out of it, and I set up my hammock stand in my house, and I got in, and I was just wearing basketball shorts and a t-shirt, and I got in there, and my basketball shorts and my t-shirt were like to the left of me. They didn't move. They just like stuck to the material, and like you would like sit up a little bit, and you automatically get a wedgie that goes over your head. This is brutal. But I also then brought it to some hammock hang that I went to and let everybody try it out. And yeah, 50% of the people were literally like, this is the best fabric that you've ever made. Where can I buy this? This is awesome. And then the other 50% were like me. So
Yeah.
I think that's good when you're able to create so many different custom hammock fabrics that everybody can have one that's for them. It doesn't have to be for everybody. But it's really not for me. I know that.
Does it have anything to do with the fabrics that you're wearing?
Yeah, it makes it, depending on what you're wearing, it could be better or worse. I think naked would be the best way to lay in it. I think it would probably feel great, but most people like have clothes on.
Yeah.
You need to make a bunch and send them down to like a nudist colony in South Florida. They'd love that. Or true banana hammock.
Well, yeah, don't quote me on that. I haven't tried it. It could also cause like soft tissue damage. I don't know. It's like really grippy. I mean, you could basically put two pieces of it together and just it's like Velcro. It's not that bad, but Kyle always makes fun of me because he remembers when I called him and I was like, dude, this stuff is ass, dude. Like, this is horrible. And he's like, no, some people will like it. And he was right.
Yeah.
He was right. So that's my hot take. Fight me about it.
That's a solid one. I appreciate that. That's a good response.
All right. Well,
Avery?
Yeah, so my unpopular opinion is that I really hate cutting fabric for a project. It can just be like a square for a wallet. Working with larger pieces of fabric really stresses me out. There's only so much room in my house. My tables are only so big, and then there's dogs or someone is always on it. I'm always worried that I'm going to make the wrong cut.
Why is it that dogs always want to get like
Every time.
directly on top of what you're working on?
Every
Like
time.
they're over in the corner doing their own thing, like happy, and then you start working on something on the floor, and they immediately move to on top of it.
Yeah, they're like, this looks really important. I'm going to step all over it that I just laid out and de-wrinkled so it's completely smooth. And then now it's all messed up again. I know we've talked about it before. The Cricut has saved my life. It's an amazing machine for cutting fabric. It does have a few limitations with how wide the machine is and how big of pieces you can cut. So if you're looking for something a little bigger, the Silhouette machine has a wider width by a few inches, maybe like 6 inches. But I love it. I've used it for cutting fabric. I've made t-shirts, all kinds of little projects, but it's been a game changer for sure.
Yeah, you're not going to be cutting like quilt pieces out with your Cricut, but most bags, packs, accessory items, stuff like that. I mean, I think the bed that we have is 24 by 14, 12.
the California King.
It's
But it's not actually even 12 because I think the maximum width,
It's like
maximum
11.
cutting width is like 11 and a half or so.
Yeah. But it's also great for, cutting reinforcement patches. It's great. I've seen a lot of people do kind of like applique work on fanny packs where they're cutting out like little mountains and sewing them to personalize their gear. There's so many cool things that you can do with it. And I don't think it's fully submerged in the sewing textile world. I mean, I think a lot of people who are using those Cricuts are making like greeting cards and labels for their spice jars at home and iron on shirts that are super kitschy and things like that. But I love it for cutting the fabric, and we've gotten a lot of questions on social media about it, and people are like, but should I buy it? And I am so convincing you absolutely should buy it. We've got it to cut through our strongest fabrics. We've got it to cut through Venom. And you guys, when I first showed it, you're like, it's not going to cut. And it cut through perfectly. And then you were like, Jason, buy it now. And I think he did.
yeah, we got it the next week.
I said, Jason, I didn't ask. I was like, Jason, I'm buying a Cricut and it'll be here next week. And he was like, okay. And then I just bought it immediately. Same day.
So back to your original hot take. I think, was I talking to you, Isaac, that you actually like the process of cutting out the patterns and stuff, or is that somebody else?
I don't
You
really.
don't like it? Okay. I don't remember who it is now. Maybe it was somebody at Trail Days. They are like, no, I really like that process of like really cutting it out. I'm like, I'm worried for you because I don't like that process at all. It is the worst. It's so nerve wracking.
Yeah, it takes me like an hour to cut something and then 10 and a half minutes to sew it, I feel like. So
I kind of like the cutting out.
Really?
I mean, if I didn't have unfettered access to a very expensive laser cutter, then I think I would enjoy it more. But since I've gotten that, I'm now like, of course, I've been pampered by the laser cutter being a few steps away. But before, I think, I liked it. Like cutting that stuff out was just part of the process for me.
So this does blend into my unpopular opinion really well. Well, kind of. It's actually, yes, a little bit controversial as well.
It is. It's highly unpopular.
Well, it's highly unpopular, but also does not go, like, I don't like cutting things out. Anyway, all that to say, I understand this is a bit of a weird topic, and I'm going to have to eat my own words here soon with projects that I'd like to make coming in 2023, but patterns, overrated.
You're completely wrong. But
Me and Isaac bully Jameson every day about this because, as you've mentioned, he's made a lot of stuff, which is awesome. We don't want him to actually stop making stuff. It's just funny because we look over and he's like, oh, I'm making this brand new fanny pack design. It's got like 13 pockets. Hope it works out. And then normally it doesn't.
Normally it does.
It's like the first prototype, and then you make the next one. So you end up kind of making a pattern, but it's like a very long way.
I've only like thrown away projects that truly didn't work out 3 times.
Remember that running?
That's what I was thinking.
What was it, a running belt thing?
Yes. Yeah. I still have actually found the spacer mesh piece that I cut out, the extra one, just sitting in my project drawer. I'm just like, no, I'm not touching that.
Do you know if you have a picture of it that we could post?
Oh, I don't think I kept a picture of it.
It'd be really funny. It was supposed to be like a running belt with water bottle holders, and it looked more like the WWE Championship heavyweight belt or something.
Somewhere in between the WWE Championship belt and inappropriate attire for work.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, the reason that I like to sew things is because I want to be able to problem solve, and the pattern takes away any of the problem solving, where I don't actually have to figure anything out. I'm just going to draw and sew. And for me, I want to have to figure out how I'm going to construct something. If I'm going to make something, I have had some idea of like some pocket or some project, like, oh, I haven't done this particular thing before, and I don't know how it's going to work out. So I'm going to figure out what that's going to look like on the fly. And to use directions or to have something that tells you exactly where to go, it no longer makes it worth making. I just buy it.
But the pattern is the problem solving process. Like, you solve the problem and then you make the pattern. Like, that's
What do you mean?
Because I think what you're talking about is that you don't like to just print out somebody else's pattern and do it. But what Isaac's saying is, the next level is you solve the problem through making your own pattern, and then you accomplish that. Like, you see it in totality. But that's just, I would agree with Isaac. You already know how I feel about it, but I do see where you're coming from in the sense of, if you don't want to take the even more time of having to solve the pattern problem, and then like if you're not that well versed in making patterns, you might mess that up, and now you've just spent all the time. Whereas at least maybe you'll have a WWE championship belt.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I guess I wonder if you have, Isaac, like if I had your skills and your knowledge and your training, then I might make the patterns. But I don't have the stuff.
I mean, I know we just had Veterans Day and we celebrated Isaac, but you just made that sound really reverent for it.
But I mean, like, you went to college classes to figure out how to pattern things. Like I'm going to get out a notebook and sketch out the general dimensions, and that's the extent of my knowledge.
Yeah, but that's essentially what pattern making is. Like,
I mean, but I do that. I don't like Carter's right. I don't want to cut out. Like, I don't want to go to Joann's, figure out like one of those little packets of pattern things, lay it out over the fabric, trace it, and then cut it. So I definitely don't want to do that. But like every project I make has at least an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper that I've drawn out, like the features I'd like, the components I want, the fabrics that I want, the dimensions that I want. But that is the extent of it. Don't get me wrong. It's not more than that.
What do you think about patterns, Avery? Are you a pattern person, or just make it and hope that it works out for you?
I would say a little bit of both. I do definitely like to freehand some things and just hope
Called
that
freestyle sewing.
freestyle sewing. I hope that it works out, and there are things that it is nice to have a pattern for. The last time I think I made like a really big project and didn't use a pattern, I was kind of like, I'm not a math person, let's just say that. So I was trying to make something a specific size. I think I spent what felt like 2.5 days of just calculating numbers and then going back, and then I'm in Joann's trying to like figure all this out. And so it's nice to have a guide to go with, but it's also nice to freestyle sew.
All that to say, like I said, I will have to eat my own words, and I want to make stuff with Polartec next year. I have a lot of ideas, and having tried 1 or 2 items for apparel, I will not be freehanding that.
Turned into a kilt that was supposed to be
It
short.
was a sport skirt. All right, dude.
So the next unpopular opinion and last is from Isaac, but you might want to close your ears for this one.
Yeah, this is definitely probably the biggest point of contention here at Ripstop
We've ever had.
We almost came to blows.
And somehow I was actually the mediator
I
instead
raised
of the
my voice.
instigator.
I did.
So my hot take is that home machines suck for apparel. If any of you have bought our fleece beanie kit yet, you will know that we did a video on showing you how to make that kit with a home machine.
Just know that video almost ruined Isaac and my relationship.
It was bad. And so is making apparel on a home machine. So just going to leave it at that.
To be fair, he actually ended up he used the home machine in the video because we assume that for your first apparel kit, you're probably just not just dropping stacks on a $250 serger. But it actually looked, when I first saw like the stitches with using the home machine overcast, I was like, oh no, this is going to be bad. But it actually turned out really good. I thought that it looked good. Would I recommend that you make fleece anorak on your home machine? I would say no. I would say don't do it. If you're going to make a lot of apparel, invest in a serger or find like somebody that you can borrow one from or something like that.
I mean, I will say it's a progression of tools, right? Like I, up until recently, have been doing a lot of like woodworking projects with a circular saw, and that was great. But now that I bought a table saw, it's the right tool for the job, just like a serger. So
we really want to start to build like skill levels into these things, and the beanie kit is just an entry level to get you into working with apparel fabrics and stuff like that. So we'll keep helping you graduate from there. All right. So for those of you that have been listening to a lot of the episodes this past year, we frequently do little spots on individual companies or makers that have inspired us, that we've been really impressed with, whether it was the stuff that they're making, the way that they've developed their company, the way they've grown, various things like that. So this next prompt is about companies that we've been really impressed with time and time again throughout the calendar year. Carter, tell us who's been most impressive to you.
So there are a lot to choose from, and I tried to pick someone that I haven't talked about before, but looking back over the past 50 episodes, I think maybe I probably have at some point. But KS Ultralight is a company that is a French guy who's based in Japan. So his name is, I'm not French, so it's Laurent is how I would say it, but it might be Laurent. I don't know. But he's super cool, super helpful, and he makes awesome stuff. He very much kind of similar to Simply Light Designs, who I've talked about before, is that he kind of does his own thing. He's not like borrowing a lot of stuff. Like everybody's kind of making the same 5-panel backpack with a big stretch mesh pocket and 2 side pockets, whatever. He has a lot of different cool designs with like zippered tops or like running vests. He just came out with a brand new framed pack. It's an external frame pack, but it's like anatomically bent in all these different directions, but the straps and the load lifters attached directly to the frame. It's just a very cool product, and it also is still well under 2 pounds. It might be like 20 ounces for the entire thing, and it's just so awesome. So just want to shout his company out. It makes awesome custom stuff. I would say that Laurent, if you're listening, Jameson will help you with your website. You have so many choices, and I get so excited about all of them, and then I can't remember what I even selected on the pack I was trying to build. But that being said, thank you for what you do. You're an artist and a beautiful, beautiful person.
And you just invested, didn't you? You just got a KS Ultralight pack?
Oh, yeah. So that'll come sometime soon. And we'll see.
Mark that up as Carter's 5th pack he's bought this year.
I sold my Durston pack.
I didn't even know about that one.
I was trying to keep
Brand
it a
new.
secret so I could surprise him. But
Oh, I thought, my bad.
I sold my Durston pack, so I like trying stuff and then selling it. So, yeah.
Isaac, what about
You can
you?
cut the last part of that out.
So my company of the year goes to a guy out of South Bohemia, Czech Republic, according to his Instagram. He's a former firefighter and a father and a husband. And his brand is called REHOSE, and he makes a lot of really cool like EDC packs and like fanny packs and stuff like that. But he uses UVX40 a lot, which I love some UVX40. So I just think he has some really cool stuff.
Nice. Jameson?
Arch Industries. I talked about him several episodes ago, but based in Italy. And I find so just being, not being super pattern
Oriented.
being pretty pattern averse, I guess. I'm always impressed when people are able to incorporate all sorts of panels of different colors and patterns and stuff. And I can't remember his name now, but the way that he's able to match like X50 Tactical with RX36 with all the sorts of different things, it's just really impressive. And I just love like fast pack style packs, and that's kind of what he specializes in, with unique vest style straps and kind of like that 25-liter area. I get super pumped on like big day adventures where you have to have cold weather stuff with you, and like that's kind of that's right up his alley. So those packs just really, really grab you. Artistry is incredible. But yeah, Arch-Ind.
Are pork rinds and leather like kind of the same thing?
Avery Europe.
My favorite company of the year, who I just always come back to, is Wild Brush with Julianne. She is truly incredible. Everything she does. Her gear is super awesome. She makes fanny packs. She makes chalk bags. She makes like crag backpacks, and I really love her. She does like a tri-fold storage bag for when you're traveling, but I mean, you can use it for lots of things. And what I love most about her is just really how consistent she is as a person, and she advocates for a lot of different causes, which is really inspiring. But she works with different artists. One of my favorite painters is Rachel Pohl. I've loved her work for forever. She does these kind of like psychedelic landscapes. And I love that she works with different artists. You're not going to find something like her work in an REI or on a big box retailer website. She recently did a crowdfunding project and completely sold out so she could get some new equipment. And her stuff is just really awesome, woman owned. And I think seeing women making outdoor gear is super powerful. So I love that.
I remember talking with her
almost 2 years ago.
50 episodes ago now, almost.
Yeah.
And like, this is going to sound corny, but like her resilience with making gear and keeping her company and being dynamic with her company is unmatched. Like, she's changed the different, like, her avenues from what she wants to do for different gear. She's moved a bunch of times, and it's incredible. It's really cool what she's done. Any honorable mentions that we can't talk about for time, but you just want to throw out there as other companies that you've thought about they weren't able to
Company of the year is definitely Durston Gear. If we're talking like actual company of the year, they literally came out with like 700 things that people love, and he's doing an awesome job.
Yeah.
So
I gotta say, 2 came to mind. I won't spend a bunch of time on them, but Sam Bob, who's making the fleeces, he's someone who I personally watched his company grow from his first fleece to selling out fleeces, as well as Allmansright. We've been Livia and Jen's fan from day one, and one of our very first podcast interviews with the company, and they recently had a partnership with REI, and it's almost going to bring me to tears that we're a part of helping so many of these brands grow, and the fact that they're getting recognized by the biggest outdoor retailer from Bronx, New York. And they've only been around for 2 years, just still sewing in their like 400 square foot apartment or whatever it is. And, they're just really great people, really inspiring. And it's been amazing to watch these companies grow so fast after 1 or 2 years.
I'll have 2 honorable mentions. There's a million people I want to mention, but maybe they're already bigger or they're already doing bigger things. But 2 companies I've seen, like another cliche term, like on the grind recently in terms of just doing a lot of efforts to get themselves out there. MODOKOT and KEL Tech Gear. I've seen them grow a ton. I mean, I haven't been following them for years like I have with Allmansright, but since I followed them, I've seen them grow in followers and in name recognition quite a lot. So shout out to other really cool makers. All right, 6th and final prompt.
I have one more. Shout out Craftsman Tools. Really good brand. We're a Craftsman house, so I'll just say that.
I know. I've been a benefactor of your adjustments to Craftsman Tools only. All right, number 6 is the favorite or your favorite thing that you have made in this past year.
My favorite thing I made was Jason proud of me.
Is that a sentence?
Yeah. I made Jason proud of me.
Oh, there. Okay. The way that you said it first, I just heard Jason proud of me.
It was kind of like that sentence I read in the outline earlier where it said, you know, people don't realize how powerful it is until they realize how powerful it is. I'll make mine quick. The thing I'm most proud of that I've ever made is definitely the cycling.
That was a year and a half ago.
Oh, no, I made it a couple weeks ago. I haven't made anything cool this year.
It's not maybe not. I don't know.
I made a lot of fanny packs.
Yeah.
Because my wife got into rollerblading for a while and she needed to look even worse. So I made her a fanny pack. I don't know. I'll think of something maybe in a second. I'm sure I'll blurt it out. And
you made a really impressive stuff sack the other day.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I use a micro Cordlock.
What's your favorite project out of your 379 projects you've made this year?
And still counting.
Yeah, the year's not over. Got like a week left. Yeah, 2 things came to mind. I don't make a ton of things for my wife. I always offer, but she has a particular design aesthetic, and our fabrics are way too technical for her. Like, I go to REI and I get super stoked. She goes to REI and she's like, yeah, those are really scritchy looking fabrics. You have something that has a much better like texture and warmth to it. You know, very artsy terms I don't understand. But I finally made her something that she...
Scritchy is definitely artsy.
Yeah.
That was the warmth part, not the scritchy part. But I finally made her something or actually 3 things now. But I finally made her a fanny pack that she really likes. I found some deep back hidden moto denim from the olden days. That's the white, the white color, and made a nice pattern. Actually, I cut it out on paper first. It was pretty wild. Yeah, that's not why she liked it though. Don't get carried away. But yeah, I made her a fanny pack, and she really loves it. And she has traveled with a bunch and got a bunch of comments on it. So it makes me happy that I made something for my wife that she really loves. Possibly the most difficult project I ever made, though, that I also made this year. This was like back in March, I think. So I made a pair of gaiters for my friend that lives up in northern Vermont, and I signed up for that because I thought it'd be kind of a fun project. Oh yeah, like that can't be that hard. Shart you not, I made probably 7 iterations.
Those things were around for months.
So long. It was so difficult. I had no idea.
Partially finished gaiters everywhere.
I had no idea.
It was like the crocodile killing convention.
It was going to be to like get the tapering and the bootstrap and the Velcro. It was so hard, but finally finishing it was so gratifying. And it just snowed up where my friend lives yesterday, and he sent me a picture of the gaiters in use, and it just made me happy all over again that I actually made something that was that difficult. Maybe it's not that difficult. I just made it that hard. But yeah, that project was really rad. But for that, I used Venom, actually. The, what is it? 4.9?
3.9 ounce
3.9.
Venom. TPU.
Venom, TPU. I had some 2-inch Velcro for the adjustment. I used the bumpy poly webbing for the bootstrap with the mini Tri-Glide. I seam taped the inside. They were pretty rad. But yeah, modeled those after the Stone Glacier gaiter, and yeah, they made it look easier than I thought. Crazy how they did that.
It's almost like they used a pattern or something.
Yeah, that's nuts. I don't know. I asked them for it. They said no. I don't know why.
Avery?
I haven't unfortunately made a lot of sewing things this year. I've been working on a lot of other projects, but I would say out of the few things I did make, the one thing that brought me the most joy was just giving it to someone and seeing their joy, but I guess it's kind of the story behind that. So I owed my roommate a new wallet. I made her one. She hiked the whole AT with it and it was falling apart, and we were going to Costa Rica and I didn't want her to go down there with like a janky wallet and like lose all of her colognes, you know? So colognes is a currency.
That comes in a spray bottle.
So,
oh, that's their currency.
Yeah. So when I typically in true Avery fashion, when I need to do something like packing for a 7-day trip, I like to distract myself with other things that aren't super important. So the night before, when I should have been packing, I speed made a wallet. So my roommate is like also the fastest shower, and I was like, I'm just gonna do this and surprise her real quick. So she like hopped in the shower. I pulled everything out, cut it really quick, and I sewed an entire wallet in like less than 7 minutes. And
you should work for NASCAR pit crew.
I even made like a little custom zipper pull out of some like pretty old rainbow paracord I bought when I didn't know really what paracord was for, you know? I was like, oh, it's rainbow. It's so cute. But just to see her come out of the shower and be like, I made this, and so excited. And she was like, wait, in 5 minutes? And I was like, yeah. So that was just exciting. And it also reminds me that I can do more than I think I can. I'm always like, oh, I don't have the time, but look at me. I'm a NASCAR pit stop sewer.
You want to try to get under 5? I need a new wallet.
Yeah.
And I have to go inside for a second. I'll come back. And
James,
that's really cool, though.
What's your friend saying?
If you wait till the last minute, it only takes a minute.
Yeah,
I love that.
I don't. I hate that, but I love him. That's not how I function. Isaac, the best thing you made this year?
So I kind of have 2. Don't hate me.
2? It looks like you have 7.
Well,
yeah,
kind of. One of them is not a sewing project, but the first one that I have written down is like my bike packing setup, because we went on a bike packing trip earlier in the year that absolutely destroyed me. We awesome. Climbed like 6,000 feet in elevation in like 10 miles. Yeah, so that was fun. But I made like my whole like bike bag setup, so like a frame bag and fork bags and a rack bag, and then I also made a hammock. And these weren't for this trip, but earlier on I had made a hammock and a tarp and a synthetic underquilt. But my other thing that I really like is I made a drawer system for my truck that is kind of like the decked drawer system, but I didn't want
sewing related.
Not sewing related.
Okay,
yeah.
He actually sewed the wood. He's got, if you use the right tool for the job.
Yeah, dude, that's all right. Cuts through anything. Yeah, but I didn't want to spend $2,000 on a drawer system for my truck. So,
yeah. I almost put the underquilt because you and I used the same pattern, if you will, for our underquilt design.
Oh, it's
shout
a pattern.
out C Holla. But yeah, that underquilt was pretty fun. I've not worked with too much insulation, a little bit, but that was one of the only insulation projects I worked on this year, and it's pretty fun to do it.
I have one last parting thought.
Yeah,
I am going to make a commitment now to make
Is this
more.
a New Year resolution already?
Yes, to make more things next year. I've slowly ramped up. I made a fanny pack the other day, testing a top secret high-end fabric, and I had some fun doing it. So I think I might be getting back in the game.
I love that.
Maybe.
Wait until the makerspace is ready, because I have a lot more stuff I want to make, and I can't be bogged down by you.
I have a home studio. It's fine.
Cool. Well, super fun, everybody. Avery, so glad you got to be in person for this episode and hang out in the, what'd you call it, the content cadage?
It's a construction trailer.
The content house.
That sounds so TikTok lame. Like
it does. All right, everybody. Well, as always, as you heard earlier, please like, rate, subscribe, comment, review, whatever it is to help us out. Let people know. We love you. Thank you so much for listening. And go make some stuff. Make good gear. Drink good beer. Have a great year.
Oh.